Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is another one here, The Authority Project. And I am Brian S. Arnold here. And I have my new good friend, Dr. Saksham Sharda, in the building. He says he's here to help us market to millennials with interactive content. Is that right, Saksham?
That is absolutely right. And we are going to explore this today. Yeah.
Well, we shall see. We shall see on this special episode of The Authority Project.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, feast your eyes and tune your ears. It's that time again. We are live with another episode of The Authority Project. It's the video podcast streamed on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Periscope, where we talk to digital marketers, business coaches, and creators of all kinds on how they've built authority in their field and how you can mimic their success. Developing authority, building your audience, and attracting better clients to your own business. Now, without further ado, let's bring to the virtual stage your host, Brian S. Arnold.
All right, it's another one, folks. It's Brian S. Arnold here, and this is the Authority Project. You are the project when you want to slap authority to your name so you can sell more of what you're great at. And we have Saksham Sharda here. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I am doing wonderful, wonderful. It's been a nice day. Like I said, sunny over here, sunny over there.
Yeah,
so
kind of cloudy, but also sunny. A good amount of sun is what I would say.
Awesome. So let's get right to it. Can you tell people who Saksham is personally and then professionally?
Oh, that's a tough one. Well, I'm a fun person, and I think my key thing is like I've researched on exploring audiences, and I've researched on what makes millennials tick, and I've researched on how you actually market to modern audiences instead of just sticking with marketing models that you have inherited from the past. Because every generation that's coming along, when we go from boomers to millennials to Gen Z now, there's a fundamental shift in the way of thinking. And so that is who I am. I'm just fascinated with audiences. I have been fascinated with audiences ever since I was a child. So I think ending up in marketing is something that was destined to happen, even though, that's not something I thought I was going to do. I thought I was going to be, a surgeon or something, but here I am. And it was accidental that I ended up in this field, and it's great. And so now I am pretty much in sync with what I always wanted to do.
Great. And do you have a current project that you're currently working on at the moment?
Okay, so let's look at, one of the projects we're working on is called micro influencers. And what this basically does is that it allows, any kind of influencer on Instagram, if they want to connect with their audience in a micro manner, in the micro moment of connection. That is like, it happens while someone's scrolling through their Insta feed or their TikTok feed or like, their Insta story, et cetera, or Twitter or anywhere or any other social network as well. Yeah. If you have like even 10,000 followers, it's hard for you to connect with them at a micro level. You're connecting with them by giving them a persona of yours that's, broad. It might not specifically apply to every single person and might not resonate with every single person. But when you make interactive content, so this interactive content, what it does, it's basically like something as simple like a quiz or a calculator or a contest or polls or surveys or chatbots, etc. And then you put them on your Insta story or you put them in your Instagram or your TikTok, anywhere. You're able to connect with each one of your followers in a very targeted way. And this is this is the power of interactive content, and it attracts millennials because millennials, as rumor has it, have a very short attention span, or a comparatively shorter attention span, because the internet has evolved during their time much faster than the times of the previous generations. So to catch their attention, I'll give you a very simple example to like break it down. if you're a fitness influencer, and Instagram is a big fitness industry, there's so many fitness influencers out there, and you have a simple quiz on your Insta story that says, answer these 6 or 7 questions and I will recommend the best fitness plan for you, right? So you're giving that every single one of your followers, you're giving them a different recommendation and you're connecting with them at a personal level. So this is something that we're working on currently, and it applies to influencers, but the same logic can be applied to B2C companies, B2B companies, enterprises, mid-market size businesses. Is the same fundamental tactic, that is a quiz or interactive content caters to everyone specifically, and that's what we're doing.
Awesome. That's great. Now, you might have already answered all of my questions right there, but I'm going to ask them again. Don't worry about it. So before I dive into more of that, because I think some people out there might want to know this about you. What is your daily routine before we get started?
Oh, okay. Well, I wake up at 7, and then I do all the morning routine. I make my coffee, which is actually a milkshake full of protein and coffee. My coffee is actually a milkshake. It's like full of coffee and protein and some muesli as well. It's a random thing, but it's very energetic. And then I start working like by 7:30, like almost by 7:15, 7:30, and then I continue working till the afternoon. And what work involves usually is making sure everyone in the team is doing what they're doing. I think there's a very famous quote, like, I've made sure there's a system at work, so that everyone's doing what they're doing, and even if you were to remove me from my job, the system would work. So even if I gave the system to my enemy to manage, the system would still work well. Nice. So my job is to make my job redundant, and that's what I work every day towards, is to make sure every department is working in their perfect way.
Nice. So let's get to it then. That's awesome. Let's get to it. I want to start here because I think you've already kind of nudged it a little bit, but let's start first of all with, who is this millennial audience? Who are they right now? What does that look like? What does that entail? What is the avatar?
I think I don't know the exact age at which the cutoffs happen, but I would say the age for millennials is usually early 20s till mid 30s is what we are looking at millennials. After that is, another generation. And before this is Gen Z, which is Billie Eilish's generation, right? So I don't claim to market to that generation yet, but I'm looking at the millennial generation.
And why is this important too? I'm going to put that out there too. Why is it important to understand this audience as well?
Because this audience will have the biggest buying power in the generations to come, in the years to come, and it will have the biggest voting power in many countries. So it's politically important generation. It is a financially important generation. It is going to be the key focus of the entire capitalistic world, the political world, the everything. So it is coming to focus now. The boomers are just getting shifted ahead, right? So the buying power is going to come to this generation. So marketing to this generation is key if you want your business to scale really well.
Awesome. So you touched on this interactive content. Why interactive? What is it about this interactive content, about quizzes and surveys and all that kind of thing, that attracts this audience more than anything else?
I mean, there's the different studies done regarding the attention span. And when we look at this generation, it is the generation during, in which time internet really becomes mature. And, we're looking at, like, when I gave you that time span, I'm a millennial myself. So in my time span, we've gone from like these phones that you'd pick up and they have like a cord on it, to these tiny little tablet phones, which is a remarkable thing to have happened in 10 years. Like, Facebook has come into existence in my generation. And one of the key things to remember is, like, the entire rise of BuzzFeed, and the BuzzFeed happens in the noughties when there's so many BuzzFeed quizzes going around. Everyone's excited to know which friend's character they are, what kind of car suits their personality. All this thing starts, and then people figure out, it's better than just to tell you what kind of car suits your personality. If I actually put a call to action there, I can actually get you to buy that car. Car websites can now be like, I can actually put that quiz on my website to entice people and make it easier for them to make a choice. Because what's happening now is also that there's too many things to choose from. There's like choice paralysis that this generation faces, because there are too many things to choose from. There are too many cars to choose from. So how do you even make a choice? So there has to be quizzes or calculators or estimators that show you that over time, in case of B2B, it can show you over time how much do you save by buying this service. In case of B2C, that's business to consumer direct, it can show you, which car you need to buy depending on your particular needs, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that's why I forget what your original question was, but
why does interactive content as opposed to
so that's why interactive content works, because it really caters to you at a personal level.
Awesome. So I guess one of my questions that I don't have here, but is this only for the millennial audience, or do you see this working in different audiences?
For sure. I'm like definitely like what a quiz does is that it addresses a fundamental curiosity that exists in human beings in general. So it applies to definitely Gen Z, and it applies to boomers as well, and like other generations too. It's just that the key focus, as like I said, is the millennials generation, because it's going to have the biggest buying power. So I think the concept has been made keeping them in mind. And I'm quite sure by the time Gen Z comes into focus, we'd still be looking at like interactive content. Like I think contests work really well with Gen Z, for instance. So estimators, for instance, Gen Z, this is particularly evident, is that they're very fashion conscious, but in a very green way. They're very they're environmentally conservative, right? They want to make sure there's no negative impact on the environment. So you can have like a calculator or an estimator that shows you that you can just make on our outgrow.co, our website, right? You can just go there. You can easily, it's a no-code tool. You just go and make the calculator that shows the carbon footprint of your wardrobe, right? So whatever you've bought, and how can you go about buying clothes that are more environmentally conscious, and then it shows you over time what kind of impact you're having in the environment, because the calculator can graphically show you that, right? So if you embed this calculator on like your e-commerce store, you're more likely to get tap into Gen Z. So I'm just saying the possibilities are limitless. But Outgrow as a software, the no-code tool that I work for, can be used definitely for all these audiences.
So it seems like it's very simple, very easy to think about. It seems like it's the ideal. Do you think that all businesses should be using this model at this point? Because you seem like you have a lot of passion that this is what you should be doing. Is that the case? What do you think about that?
I just think it's very exciting, and it is already the case. A lot of businesses are using it across the board. We have Adobe that uses our software, National Geographic uses our software. Like, I can name a ton of companies that use our software. Salesforce, like there's tons of them. Micro-influence, which is like for Instagrams on like, influencers on Instagram or Twitter, is being used by so many people. It was like voted like among the top 5 products of the day on producthunt.com, which has like 6 million monthly visitors. So you can tell like it's definitely something that's being used across the board, and I'm excited to see how people are using it, because like the excitement that I have is not because it's a no-code tool, and like even you could go there tomorrow and make something for podcasts, like which of my podcasts should you watch first, etc., quiz like that. I'm excited because we serve 21 different industries, and all of these people come up with new ideas every day, because they don't need any coding to come up with the next brilliant idea on our tool.
Great. And now that's my next question. It's a good segue here, because you have this great tool. Outgrow is great. You can get these wonderful results. But what kind of questions work best with this kind of content? You can have this tool. It looks. I mean, like I said, it's a great piece to use. But doesn't the words, don't the questions make the difference? Because I mean, have you experienced that there's a certain way people have started doing things, started doing this as far as examples that you say, like, this is the way to do it, as opposed to something else?
Yeah, I'm like, since since we actually serve B2B customers, that's business to business and business to consumer, like we do both, and we do small businesses, big enterprises, freelancers, and also influencers, right? So I couldn't give a generalization, but what I could do is like give you an example. For instance, say on a lawyer's website, like an attorney or a lawyer's website, the primary call to action was just contact me. Right. Now imagine that instead of this, like, because, a ton of lawyers exist out there who have the same call to action, with a website that's like, tough to navigate, et cetera, et cetera. But now imagine that a lawyer on his website has a call to action saying, see how much I can save you in legal fees. And then it asks you a couple of questions, 4 or 5 questions, like, how many contracts do you need signed per month? How many people are you employing? What are you doing? How many contracts do you need signed? And then, which state is your business located in, et cetera, et cetera. So it takes all these factors into play, and then it gives you an estimate of how much that lawyer can save you, that company, that firm can save you in legal fees over time. And in addition to that, once it shows you the number, it also shows you a graph that spans over years, saying, you're going to save so much amount of money, like, 5 years, 10 years, if you employ a firm. So, but here you can see in this example that using just 4 or 5 questions, because whichever business, like, whoever's listening to this podcast, whatever industry they're in, they know exactly the 4 or 5 questions to ask to give a very valuable result to the person who comes in your website. And just before you give this result, you put a lead generation form that asks them for their email, because you're going to get them some valuable results. So they are going to put their email in. And once you have this email, that email's in your marketing funnel. And even if they don't make the purchase right now, you're on their mind because you gave them that estimate, and you can then just remarket to them. You can send them an email. You can be like, hey, blah, blah, blah. So, or you can add them to your email list, et cetera, et cetera. So key thing to remember is that being in your industry, you know exactly the kind of questions you ask. 8 to 10 questions are the best to ask. You can put some logic jumps so that, it gets more complex and you only show particular answers to particular people. So that's totally possible.
It's great stuff, man. This is great stuff. So let me ask you this then. I'm going to put this together here. What kind of impact are you looking to have? Like, what is your long-term impact with Outgrow, with what you're trying to do, as far as the world at large, or your audience at large? I know it's a big question, but you can answer it.
I think my primary fight is with coding itself, because when I was young, like, I'm not a person of a mathematical bent, I would say. So you see, the point is, when I was young, my parents were like, you should go to coding class, you should go to like computer science, because that's the future, everyone's gonna learn to code. And there were all these movies like The Matrix, where everyone's coding and the cool people are all coding. And my problem is that coding does not necessarily mean that you're creative. And what no code tools like outgrow.co allow you to do is that you go out there, you can make everything marketing wise, everything design wise, everything, innovation wise, that will make you have a successful business. And at the same time, you don't need to know how to code. And that is what we're trying to do with outgrow.co, is that we are trying to make sure that, anyone in our 21 different industries that we serve, anyone listening to this podcast, including podcasters, if you don't know how to code, you can still make interactive content and you can put it on your website. Calculators, polls, surveys, estimators, quizzes, e-commerce recommendations, all of these intelligent tools you can put on your website, and it's easy for you to do. And I think that is what the market aims towards as well, because the market does not value someone's skill at coding. Instead, the market values creativity. And that is the biggest thing. And there's no reason for a creative person in any industry to be held back from expressing his creativity just because he doesn't know how to code. And that is what Outgrow is trying to do and, bring to everyone.
Preach. I like that. That was great, man. I got one last question for you. This has been perfect, man. So here's how it goes. I ask this of all of my guests. It goes something like this. There are people out there who are watching you now. They'll be listening to you later, and they like what you're doing. They like your message, and maybe they want to also help people who are maybe technically challenged, design challenged, or coded challenged. and they want to help people also who are creators be able to create and be unstoppable with what they're trying to create in the world. Can you tell them, and I'll put you front and center, how they can become an authority in this space?
In the space of interactive content, or
yes.
Okay. So I think it's very easy to do. Like, you go to our website, outgrow.co, and but I'm just telling you like a simple way to start it off. Is like you go to our website, outgrow.co, or through this link, outgrow.co/authority, where you can get like an extended trial. It's a free trial for 7 days, and you can extend it later. And then you go to the template section on our website, and there you will see 21 different industries, including your industry. It will be there, and you will see many examples in your industry. And all you have to do is to pick one of those templates, you edit it, change the colors, add some questions that you feel from your expertise need to be added, mess with the logic, play with the logic, be creative, and then publish it and put it on your website and see if it works for you. If it doesn't work for you, try another template. It's a free trial. It's literally out there for you. I want you to just go out there and make something that you think is creative and you think can really help out your business. And I think that would be a good way to start.
Awesome. Everybody, that's great. Everybody, check out this man's section. That was amazing, man. That was incredible stuff.
Thank you.
And he's doing that. He's late up. He's out there, and he's really at night. It's time for bedtime for him. So,
no, it's just 10. Yeah, I'm in Berlin.
So check it out there. Check him out. And as I always say, for my little plug, sign up at theauthorityletter.com. We're doing some great things over there. So it's a weekly newsletter that I put together for you guys. I talk about real talk stuff, but we have fun over there about the online industry. You get a 3-part video series about building your authority platform, just like this man has with his company. Just amazing stuff. So that's all that I have, unless you have any final words here.
No, I think that's it. But thanks for having me on the show, Brian.
Awesome stuff. All right, guys. As I always say, remember, build it, share it, and they will come. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.
And that's a wrap for this episode of The Authority Project. Thanks so much for tuning in. And if you like what you heard, we want to hear from you. Subscribe, rate, and give an honest review. Share and tell your friends so they can hear too. And for even more authority-building tactics, be sure to sign up at theauthorityletter.com. Get free weekly content and ongoing digital product giveaways to help you on your entrepreneurial journey. We certainly hope you got a key takeaway, or maybe an aha moment from today's broadcast. Just remember, it's your authority. Build it, share it, and they will come. Until next time.